What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 4, and this is the first DLC content that we're going to review and we're going to analyze as well. So without further ado, here is the KOLA Peninsula. Hope you guys really enjoy this. Please help support the channel by liking, subscribing, commenting, and please share the video as well. So let's get into this. Roll the tape. The KOLA Peninsula, the first phase release of Season 1 pass for SnowRunner. This region came as a shock to the SnowRunner player base with its sheer difficulty and game changes. To this day, players still regard this map as one of the harder in the game, but with the understanding of those game change tactics, map study, and planning, this journey can be a success. Before we jump into our very informal yet great informational video, I need to state that this is based upon an unmodded playthrough with all the vehicles that are in-game given by the SnowRunner developers. In this video, we're going to talk about the overall outlook for the KOLA Peninsula, the areas of concern and analysis for each map, and the recommended routes for both maps as well. So without wasting any more time, let's talk about the overall outlook for the KOLA Peninsula. A short description and overall outlook for the KOLA Peninsula is as follows. The difficulty is hard, it's a suitable time to use stronger, capable trucks that you have found in the game so far, it's a good area for deeper understanding of fuel management, and it's a great region for utilizing shortcuts. Next up, we're going to talk about the areas of concern and analysis portion, and then after that, we'll talk about the recommended routes for both maps, but we're going to start with Lake Kovd. Okay, so welcome to our areas of concern and analysis on our first map, Lake Kovd in the KOLA Peninsula region. As you can see, I have easy, moderate, and hard up there in the right-hand corner, and I'm going to run through real quick of why I color-coded these the way they are. So just bear in mind that the green portions they're a little bit harder, and the yellow portions are a little bit harder as well because the difficulty in the game is rising. But I kept these color codes just to keep everything to a standard. So the green areas are either a low tipping risk, light terrain, or even pavement, which is generally safe to travel on. The yellow areas, however, are areas have moderate risk of tipping, medium terrain difficulty, but they can be managed with proper gear manipulation, vehicle positioning, and attention to the vehicle's balance. And then the last area, which we are going to cover throughout the video, is the red portion. These are areas of high risk of tipping and moderate to super hard terrain. These areas should be avoided if possible, but they can be traversed with caution, correct machinery, and attention to details. All right, so as you can see, this is Lake Kovd, and we're going to start at the garage and do a clockwise motion coming from the bottom and then around. So first off, let's take a look down here, and bear in mind that there are only 3 towers, I believe, on this map, and they only can cover the bottom portion of the map. So you're going to have to use something called a prototype unit for a scout to discover areas in the north parts and other parts of the map. So it's just a different aspect that SnowRunner brought to the table here. So gameplay is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so down here there's a task, and this is like a little gully here. It's very muddy and there's some rocks in here, but there are winch points. I believe you have to use a crane truck down here to get some cargo out of here and then bring it back. But this is also going to be a pretty hard area. Over here, the area coming up here is like a gotcha point, I call it. And I wrote this red or color coded this red because you'll be driving along and all of a sudden like your vehicle goes down into like these huge pitfalls and your vehicle just wants to tip over, prompting a quick winch from the side if you can get it. If not, you're going to tip over. So I color code these red because I have tipped over here in both of these areas multiple times, but they lead to the same place, which is like a little power tower or a tower, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, let's continue up here. These are just little mud strips. You can see there's vegetation around. You can winch out if you need to. This is a really tight area right here that you can't get larger trucks through. There's like a little gully through here. It's just a rock face area. I usually don't take it. I'll kind of go around the outside here and just winch my way through trees until I get by it, and then I'll swing down here. This area here is just for broken ice. The ice breaks here as you go along. There should be some rocks as well, but not too bad. Right here, there's a little mud pit. And then this is like a big mud strip that only the really larger vehicles can just plow through this. There are wedge points and you can skirt the sides as well. I needed to put that in there to just to keep in mind for you guys. And then there's this last little super snow pit here right before we come down onto this ice. And this is where you can kind of drop down into this ice here. And it's just a super snow pit. You can winch through it. If not, you're just going to be going really, really slow. So that's something I wanted to tell you guys about. Back here is just a little small mud pit here. You can winch through it. Not too bad. I usually don't take these routes back here, only for a few tasks and finding upgrades. But that's about it. Over here by the rail station, there's this broken pit right here that has some concrete slabs in it. If you fall down in here with a truck that doesn't have huge tires or something like that, you're not really going to be able to get out of here unless you can catch one of these winch points to pull you out. So what I do is I'll just come through. A logical thing is just to drive through this area in here and then swing out the other side to totally avoid it. And then here is another little mud pit you can winch your way through. You will dive down into the mud. It's very deep, but you definitely have to take this route for a bunch of things as well. Over here, there's a blockage of this pavement road, and you can't pass it, but you can dip down into the swampy area where there's broken ice. And this is the area that introduces the broken ice mechanic, where you can fall through, and only some trucks can plow through the ice to get to the other side. So just be aware of that. There's some winch points to get you through as well, but you can just swing down, stay close to the rock, and then come back up. All right, let's move northbound here. There's a little bridge here you have to repair. There is one, I believe it's a metal beam that you can just pick up with your truck, and that's one of the metal beams that you need from here. Anyways, let's go up here north through this little gully. It's kind of super snow. I never go back here. I think only for one task. I think it's a vehicle you have to pull out, but other than that, I'm usually not back here at all. After that, it kind of clears out to just a snow path. And then once you get down here, this is all really slanted terrain. And there's a telephone pole here that sometimes will catch you if you tip. I just have to say this is rocky and it's slanted, so just be aware of tipping. If you have to, just go down into the gully and then come back up. But just be aware of hitting that broken ice down here because you will fall in. And then it kind of shallows out until it hits this super snow large patch right here. I do not come back here. I do not traverse this way to hit this gateway up here. And I'll talk about that in my recommended routes, but this is just super snow throughout the whole darn thing. And there is a task back here or a contract that you need to complete. Other than that, I really don't come back here at all, unless I'm trying to discover something. And then moving eastbound, this is area that has a cliff face, and this is like a sheer cliff, as you can see right here. And this is just a rocky area that has a bunch of rocks. It's bumpy. You can slide off here, so just be aware of that. And this is just a mud strip that you just have to go through to get to the west side of the map, unless you take a different route. And we'll talk about those later. But yeah, you can winch through, but it's pretty deep unless you have really large, capable trucks. All right, let's step down here to this area. This path, I really never use it. I've used it a couple times, but it's just going up into the mountains. It's kind of hard to get through because it's rocky and such. And I think for scouts, it's definitely difficult. This whole map is difficult for scouts. Let's just say that. And over here, same thing. These areas are going to be kind of bumpy, rocky, and just risk of overturning your truck. And that's something that has been very prominent in these maps for phase 1 is the tipping risks. Even in your yellow areas, you're not really safe because you have those pitfalls that we talked about before. And then to wrap this area up here by the trailer store, after you clear here, there's this area that comes down toward the shore. This gets pretty thick through here. I don't usually take it, but when I've been through here, it's slowed me down quite a bit. And then after you come up here, there's a task or a contract that you need to complete. And you can see the shadowed areas and the unshadowed areas that are lighter. And you can kind of get a gist of how I got there. So I actually cut through this frozen lake and then just dove through these trees just because I didn't want to drive these routes. But this area right here, if you don't have chain tires, it's kind of hard to get through. It's rocky, etc. But after that, you should be good. But it is kind of a tough area. But anyways, that is the data analysis and areas of concern for Lake Kovd, we're now going to jump over and look at the recommended routes. Okay, so welcome back to our recommended routes for Lake Kovd here. And right now you can see my blue dots on the screen, and they got squiggly lines basically going everywhere, and you're trying to make sense of this, but just bear with me here. I'm going to try to break this down. It should take a few minutes. So from the garage, one thing I need to say is Lake Kovd is a hard map. Imandra and Lake Kovd are hard maps. They're slow going, but on Lake Kovd, you can get to the other side of the map relatively quickly with these shortcuts. So first, we're going to go from the garage, and then we're going to come out here. This is all paved road, and you basically just come down here. After you make this right-hand turn, it turns into that little super mud stuff. You'll catch some more of that over here, super snow. And after that, you'll come down this path. And this is where the broken ice factor comes into play. And what you want to do is after you come down onto this ice, you want to keep to the right-hand side and not go straight across. Because if you go straight across, you will fall into the ice. And then you have to either recover your truck or get another truck to rescue it. So just bear to the left here and kind of like skirt along these rocks. And then after that, you can get back on the path, come back up here, and then rejoin this path that's green to the railway station. Okay, so now we're at the railway station. If we want to get northbound, if from the railway station or the sawmill, if we want to go northbound and get all the way up here, which you're going to have tasks and contracts to bring cargo to, these two paths right here join. And this is all frozen ice down here. But there's these little ramps that come down to the ice, and this ice is not breakable. So if you can get over to the edges of the ice, I know this path right here is safe. I've taken this multiple times. I just stay right close to the shore, and then I try to dart across where I see the jagged ice concentrations. I'll dart across, stay close to this side, to this ice. Any dark ice is relatively okay. That looks kind of smooth. It's definitely hardened. But the ice that looks mushy, you're going to fall through. So that's why I just stay to the left here. And then you can just basically follow that. And then once you get to here, you should be able to cross over to the right-hand side and then just follow this kind of snowdrift ice part up to the trailer store. And that's not really a hard route. You'll get there relatively quick because it is really fast to travel this instead of going this way or through any other route. Okay, so let's go back to the garage here. Now, a route that I take almost every time I come out of the garage, because most of your contracts and tasks lead you up here somewhere after you complete the ones down here. So I come out of the garage, I make a left-hand turn, I go through this little bit of super snow that's right outside the garage. After that, I jump down onto this ice. And once you get down to the ice flow, see how it's this dark ice here? This will support weight. So you can just come across here pretty safely, move over. But right here, where this little dot is, I'll move it out of the way. At the corner of this is not frozen ice right here. This is actual water. There's like these ice shards that stick out of this water, and it's really close to the water surface. That's where you're going to want to cross, but you stay on those ice shards. And then once you get across, you stay on the ice shards as much as you can, and then move over to the left here and join this path that we just talked about. And then you can come northbound. And then one of the second to last routes that I use to get westbound, if I want to go over here for any task or contracts from the trailer store, which I do base operations out of, if I'm not basing operations out of the garage here, I'll just come down that path. I'll make a right-hand turn, and this is all going to be tough traveling, but just bear in mind I'd rather take this way down here where it's mud and stay to the right-hand side, because if you do not, you will fall through this ice down here and get stuck. So what I do is I try to stay to the right-hand side, close to these trees to pull me through if I get stuck, but I'm basically following the river down here, or the ice flow. And then I join this. There's a little spot right here you can jump over. I usually try to make speed and jump across there, maybe get a winch point as well. And then I just join this path. This is kind of a hard place to cross here, so just bear that in mind. Before you cross, just take a look at it and try to weigh the options of either going around farther or just making the jump if you have two vehicles. All right, and then our last route. Now, if you wanted to get to the Imandra Gateway, you can kind of see that you can go northbound and then hit over, and that's kind of what I do. But if you have vehicles down here, then you need to jump to the gate. I know for the logging contracts that go over to Imandra, you need to come here to get some long logs. And a very safe way to get there is just follow right through this little maze section, go over this bridge. This is all paved routes. Right here, this bridge is out. So what you have to do is, there's this little area. Oh, let me try to get myself back there. There is this little area here that you can dive down onto this ice, and you can see the little ice shards down here. And then this part right here is going to be the broken ice that you can fall into. So what I do is I stay as close to this rock as I can, come over here, and then it becomes like a snowdrift. And then I'll make my right hand turn, stay close to this side of the ice, and then come up this path. And after you come up this path, this turns into a road. It comes into like an icy, snowy road. It's pretty easy to pass on. And then this place, as you remember, it's a very steep area. You can overturn your truck and fall down this hill as well. And I've done it multiple times. So if you can avoid it by just coming down here, avoid it. If not, just take your time and go slow, and you should be okay. And just use a stable truck to get by this part. After that, I just go through this area. It's mostly snow, a little bit of rocks, and then I traverse along this little, I guess you would call it a frozen river. I stay to the left-hand side by the trees, and then I join this path that can be very tippy at times, so just be aware of that. You might have to fling a winch out to save you, but this is the best route to get here, in my opinion. But after you get up over this hump, you're pretty safe to just drive through. It might take you a little bit. The snow is relatively deep, but not bad. And then you can join this path here and then go right to the Imandra gateway. So anyways, guys, that is the recommended routes for the Lake Kovd region. We're now going to do the areas of concern and analysis portion for Imandra. Okay, so welcome to the second and final map of the KOLA Peninsula. This is the Imandra map, and it's the hardest map of both of these maps on the KOLA Peninsula. And right now you're looking at my easy mode, easy, moderate, and hard tags here. And you can see that there are a lot of red areas, and we're going to go through those right now. So we're going to start down here, and you can notice I do have my truck still on this map because I just finished this region shortly after I took this photo. But anyway, down here at the Lake Kovd gateway, this is the only gateway that you can use to get to Lake Kovd, but they welcome you immediately as soon as you come through with a big patch of super snow here. Super snow, super mud, you get stuck up here, but you should be able to get through, and then it's easy sailing until you get over here where there is an upgrade up in these mountains, and you have to climb up through these rocks. It's red here because you can overturn your truck very easily. On my stream, I did it with a Freightliner, and it was super hard to get up here. I was constantly using my winch and in my low ranges as well. So just be careful when you're going to get that upgrade over here. Now, if we come this way, this is going to be paved road. And then right here, it kind of like drops off the surface. And this is all super snow with rocks embedded in it. I normally only took this route one time. And after that, I just decided I'm going to go down through here onto this ice and then cruise the ice edges over to here before I jump up through these trees onto this safe platform here. So this is just a really hard part. There are some winch points along the way that are, I believe, telephone poles, but I generally do not want to take this way. So over here, there's a task to, I believe, deliver a vehicle. I believe it is the loaf up here. This is all going up into the mountains. It's very hard. On stream, I've tipped my Tatra of all vehicles, a very stable vehicle. I tipped it over up here with a stupid mistake, but this is very tight, very uneven surfaces going up into these mountains for this delivery. So just be aware of that. Over here is a strip of super snow, and I usually cross through here to join this path to go north toward the trailer store. But over here is where you take the scout up to scout the tower, and you can tip over up here, and that's why it's color-coded red. I took the loaf up here, and he was okay, but I used my winch a couple of times. So that area is going to be tough as well. Down here, you just cross this bridge after you dip down. It's not too bad, but over here, what I do is I like to skirt along this ice down here. It's pretty safe, and then I move up onto this path which can be rocky, unstable, and yeah, there's some little pitfalls down in here. But I do not take this way here because this is just a big mud pit, snow pit. So I think the safest route is just taking the shoreline and then crossing up onto the hard surface road that's going to be uneven and a lot of rocks on it as well, just like I said. This route over here, there is something you need to do for a task. Very rocky terrain, slow going through here. It's like super snow. And yeah, you can definitely tip your vehicle over here. This is a scout mission, I believe. So just be careful when you're back there. Moving westbound, after you come up over this little way here, there's a little mud strip down here that you just need to watch for. This is like rocky terrain right here that you can't get up unless you have chain tires. So be aware of that. And then if we move south, this is going to be rocky terrain as well. Uneven surfaces. I normally don't travel this way as well. I take other routes, and we'll talk about those in the recommended routes section. But I noticed that this took me a while to get through. And then we're going to jump over to this spot. This whole area right here, there's like ice flows, and it's surrounded by water. This way you come through. We'll talk about that way through on the recommended routes, but this is an area for those gotcha points, wherever the snow looks smooth on the surface, but then as you're driving over it, your nose just kind of buries into the ground one way or another, and you can tip over here. So very uneven surface, and then once you get over here, it's like super snow to this little area, kind of super snow throughout. And down here is just uneven rocky surface that you're kind of be crawling over rock surfaces for a little bit. All right, so let's jump north here. These areas that are north of this garage are probably one of the harder parts in the game or in Imandra per se for doing tasks and contracts. This area right here is a canyon that you drive through. It does have winch points through it. You can drive through it. I do not recommend driving through this. I've done it multiple times. It's not fun. I've gotten stuck. I've overturned. It's very, very treacherous. So do not go this way. This route over here that kind of joins and comes down by the garage is elevating terrain. It goes up into the mountains. There's a lot of boulders that you can high center on. You can tip over on all these parts. I've tipped multiple times. So this is just a really, really hard part. A good vehicle for this would be like the Tega, maybe the Vorons, to get through this area. They're very good at rock crawling up here. So I would use those trucks. And this is just a little small strip of super mud here that I found when I was picking up something. And then if we move westbound, we're going to move westbound and then south to finish this portion. Moving westbound is not too bad until you hit this little mud strip. You can winch your way through it, or you don't have to go through it if you're going to head southbound to the timber shipment. But if you are, you just have to get through it, and then it kind of gets super easy coming up this hill. But here is going to be just a super big bog that has dead logs in there, so you can winch through it as well, but it will take you a little while to get through it. So that's for your information. And then back here, this is just a big long strip of super snow. There's not a lot of like terrain. There's some downed telephone poles. Do not drive over them because they will bust your tires, and you do not want that. So just drive around the poles if you have to. And this super snow would take a while to get through. And then over here, this is just a mud strip or like a super snow strip as well that I noticed. But you rarely ever come back here for anything. As you can see, I came back here one time, and I also came here one time. This is just mountainous terrain that you have to take a scout up or a medium-sized truck to do a task up in here. And then lastly, this portion right here after the green area is it's like an ice slide that goes descending down as we travel northward to the ice flows out here. This area, it's very uneven and there's rocks on it. So whenever you go to cross this, you have a severe risk of tipping your truck over and rolling down this way. So when you cross here, just be careful, be ready to throw a winch to your side, or get your nose of your truck heading up the hill as fast as possible to maintain your balance. Okay, then the last spot is going to get these airplane parts up here. there's a mud strip through these trees. You can get through it relatively easy with a winch, but if you're not winching, this is going to be a pretty big boggy spot to get you through. So anyways, guys, that is the Imandra portion of our areas of analysis and areas of concern. So we're going to jump now, and I'm going to show you some recommended routes, and hopefully we can wrap up this video. For our recommended routes for Imandra, this is the final map, the second map, final map of the KOLA Peninsula. And as you can see, my blue dots, I only have a couple routes that I really take, but these are to move across the map. There are some smaller routes that you can see, obviously, that lead to tasks and such like that. But if I were to cover every single route that I do take for little tasks and contracts, this segment would take a long time. So I'm going to show you a brief overview of the routes I take just to get across the map, and easier routes to get to other areas, and then you can pick and choose other routes that you're going to take to your destinations. Okay, so let's start down here at Lake Kovd. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here just so we can track this. So down here from the gateway, I'll come up this route, and then I'll come over here. And like I said before, I do not take this way because you can see right now there's rocks, there's boulders, there's ice, you can fall through. It's just not fun. So when I get to this little corner here of this turn on this paved way, I'll jump through these rocks. And if you have a vehicle that can that has good ground clearance, you should be able to get here through with ease pretty much. And then I'll just stay along the outsides of this lake. It's pretty much going to be frozen, so you can see it's darker ice, so it is frozen. But I just stay to the edges. You can travel very, very fast. And then once I get over here, I'll find a spot where I can jump through these trees. This is kind of like super snow going through here. It will take a while, but you'll get up onto this patch. And then from there, what I'll do is I'll either traverse through, or I could actually go behind this way and then come over through here. And then you have some telephone poles that pull you up to this paved area right here. And then you follow the paved area all the way down. This is a broken bridge. And then at that broken bridge, you have to dive down into this little gully right here to cross this little bridge. That's like a makeshift bridge. Cross that, get on this ice. All of this ice down here is safe. Drive along this ice here until you find a way that you can get up onto this road. And this road's going to be kind of hard to get down because there's going to be rocks, broken parts of the road, slanted terrain. But after you get to about here and it starts just ascending upward, you should be in the clear. But make sure you have good tires for that. After that, we're going to come up this road. It dives down. There's a little bit of a mud pit here. Then you hit the trailer store, which is going to be your safe spot because you can get a fuel trailer out and fuel up your trucks. This is a good place to stage operations out of. Here's a good place to stage operations out of as well. And then you can also stage stuff out of this place here. So you can have multiple areas where you have like a fleet of trucks to go do stuff. So let's continue through here. I did not mention this portion in my areas of concern and analysis, but this is an area that has between these two rocks, it's super snow, but there's a winch point that you can get through. There's a bunch of boulders on each side too, so it's kind of tough getting through there. But once you do, you can go through here. There's a tree that's hanging down on the road that you can get hung up on. You either could go up on the bank carefully because you can tip going up on the bank to avoid it, or just dive down into this mushy snow and winch your way back onto the path. After that, you just cruise down here, watch for some boulders on the road. Like I said, there's always tipping risks in these new maps, so that's something just to have on your radar. And then move through this muddy area through here. It's not that bad. You can move through here. Just try to find the lighter patch closer to the building. And then that's where the garage is. And then from the garage, if we wanted to get up here where we have multiple tasks and contracts that originate out of here, just take the garage route down here. There's a little patch of super mud. Move up here, another patch of super mud there. And then right here is where I deviate from this path. I'll actually make a right-hand turn, join this path, and then I'll jump down through these rocks. And you can just pick a spot that's good for you, and then stay on the outside of the ice flow, close to the rocks but not on them. You should be good. And then kind of like on Lake Kovd, where I showed you that little ice flow where these little ice shards are, that's where you're going to cross here and then stay to the right as much as possible, and then just follow. Keep your tires close to this ice. Should be okay. And then you can either ascend here through these rocks, but I would just come around this bridge and then ascend up onto this path. So as you can see, I do not use this way to come over here to do anything. It's actually going to take you less time to come down here through these super mud patches and get to here than go through that way. So it's just all about saving time and safer routes. Okay, so now if we wanted to make our way down here where the airplane parts are, they're all down here. There's a bunch of tasks down here as well. From the garage, before we hit that super mud area, you make that left-hand turn. It comes downhill to this shoreline. So this shoreline has like a bridge, I would say, or some type of structure. What I do is I'll get close to the shore and come down here, make a right-hand turn, and stay close to these all these ice parts, these shards. I keep my truck on those shards, and then right here, keep your truck as much as you can on the shard. Cross over, stay close to the rocks, onto the ice shards, and then you can move up through this little piece right here, which is just super snow, but you can attach a winch here, and then you can just move through. It's going to be slow going all the way through. And there's those tipping concerns, those gotcha points, so just be aware of those. And then this could be a tricky spot here, is diving down through this path, because it's not really a clear path. I've actually taken between these trees and then kind of meandered down through here. And after you do, you'll see dark patches. That is the route to pass over this ice. You can kind of see it here. It's dark, it's kind of winds. So this little windy path right here, that's going to be solid ice. And there's the little bridge here. So just follow the ice flow, or the ice, the dark ice there, and then you should be able to ascend back up onto these paths, and then up here to this little mud pit, but it's not really that bad. So instead of taking this mud pit, which we talked about, you can make a left-hand turn off this path right here. It's actually going to be, I think it's actually right here, and then you can just drive through this snow patch. It's kind of super snow, it's kind of not, it's not really bad. I've used it to take the trailer with the airplane parts on. It's a good path to take, rather than taking this muddy path here. And then just join this path, you can come down here, and this is where your airplane parts are going to be. And then our last big route that I want to highlight here, if we do continue here westbound from the garage, there's another left-hand turn that you can make. That you come down this little gully here. There's going to be a bunch of rocks, and then you can cross over onto this ice. Stay close to the ice here on this little ice flow, and then you can just move down. And after you move down to here, it can be hard getting over these rocks. So what I do is I jump over, stay on the ice, and then just move all the way around, and then join this path coming up. You can either join this path coming up or cut through. I just join the path right here, and then I move up onto this path, which is pretty easy considering all the other areas in Imandra. And then you just get to the log station from there. And that is pretty much it, guys. If you need any other data analysis or areas of concern tips, and you want me to go over the yellow areas, the green areas, anything that I covered in these videos, please stop by my stream. I will definitely stop what I'm doing and come help you. I would love to. So with that being said, this is the end of the Phase 1 KOLA Peninsula region. And next, we're going to talk about the Phase 2 Yukon region on our next video. So until then, guys, God bless and stay upright.